Hey you guys, welcome back to our channel, the #1 place for people who love design, art and all things creative. You are watching Dantier and Bollock's channel, my name is Laszlo, and in this video I thought I would show you my top art books that influenced my creative style. These books are filled with incredible visual thinking and beautiful artworks, which have been great sources of inspiration for me, and to this day I go back to them every now and then, whenever I feel like I'm stuck on a tricky design brief, and I feel like I'm in need of some artistic oil to put on that creative fire. So if you wanna hear about the best art of books for illustrators and designers, let's jump straight into the video. The first book I wanna show you is this one. Spiderman Into the Spiderverse, The Art of the Movie by Ramin Zahid. Now this movie needs no introduction. Most of you who are into art and design have probably seen it already, and guys, in case you haven't, you gotta see this, cause it's like nothing else out there. This sounds overly dramatic, but I genuinely believe the existence of this movie has changed animation as an industry. Decades down the line, I can totally imagine creatives talking about animated movies before Spider-Verse and animated movies which has been created after Spider-Verse. It's so unique, so stylish and so groundbreaking in a number of levels that I genuinely believe it's going to create its own genre, as well as its own competition. Which is no easy feat, given that Spider-Man, let's be honest, is a very much overused intellectual property. I mean, Hollywood put out at least 10 different Spider-Man movies in the last 15 years. So I gotta admit, when I heard about this movie, I wasn't the least excited about it. Until the reviews started to come in and I saw that the illustrative corners of Twitter are basically in love with this movie. And for good reason. The book talks about how grateful the team at Sony was for having full creative control over the artistic direction of this project. We dive into technical details, character designs, and how being self-aware and knowing about all these different Spider-Man projects, which came before this one, allowed the artist to build on the heritage of this character and give it a whole new flavor. To quickly sidetrack, I wanna mention yet another book called The Animator Survival Kit by Richard Williams. If you don't know Richard Williams, he's one of those old school masters of the crafts of animation. He animated Roger Rabbit in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And in his book he talks about how there are basically two mainstream ways of animating. There is the Disney way, which is based on reality, a very heavily stylized, beautified reality of course, trying to build fantastic but believable characters. And then there is the wacky, Looney Tunes kind of animation. Things like Roadrunner and Tom and Jerry, which really push the boundaries of the medium and doesn't at all trying to be realistic. You know, when Tom and Jerry chase each other, the rules of gravity doesn't apply. Sometimes Tom gets flattened out like a pancake. Sometimes a character just draws a tunnel onto the side of a cliff and then walks through it. All of this is very deliberate, as those animators are really just having fun with what's possible within this medium. And the thing is, when you're drawing and creating from zero, pretty much anything is possible. The same philosophy applies to the Spider-Verse. This movie has been made to look and feel like a comic book. There is no motion blur within frames, sometimes we see color halftones and cyan magenta printing mistakes on the screen, things we have never seen in a movie before. For me, as a designer, it's incredibly inspiring to find whole new approaches to my work, which, let's be honest, is very much needed. When you are being approached by clients, oftentimes they ask for the same thing over and over and over again, so it's up to you what you make of your work. And this book reminds me that you can always find new ways and fresh perspectives, even in the most overused source materials. Okay, book number 2 is this one, The Art of DreamWorks Animation, also written by Ramin Zahid. Now this is essentially a giant collection of concept art for every DreamWorks movie, starting from the very beginning of the company in 1998, and it goes all the way up to 2014. Technically speaking, DreamWorks doesn't have as much of a perfect track record as the guys at Disney or Pixar have. I mean, those guys do cast a giant Mickey Mouse shaped shadow over DreamWorks. Year by year, Pixar and Disney outperformed them at the box office, but in spite that, or maybe because of that, DreamWorks are making some very interesting, unorthodox creative choices in terms of their visual development. Starting with Prince of Egypt, their first hand-drawn feature, which is easily one of my favorite movies of all time. It looks and feels nothing like a Disney picture. I absolutely love the way they have drawn the characters for this one. This sort of angular, heavily stylized people and faces were mostly the work of concept artist Carlos Grengel. And I don't know for sure if he was inspired by Egyptian wall paintings for his work, but I definitely get that vibe. I say I don't know for sure because actually I do own the Art of Prince of Egypt concept art book as well. But it's not on me, so I couldn't reread it for this video. It's at my parents' house. So maybe I'll talk more about it in a future video. But up until then, let's just get into this book. Again, just like the Spiderverse from Sony, this book reminds me of how there are lots of different ways and angles to tackle the same beast. And since we are all so used to Disney's design solutions, it's actually very refreshing to swipe through some of these visual plans and see these early drafts for characters like Shrek and a very fat version of the dragon, which was straight up mocking the traditional Disney values, as well as these amazing construction plans for the Bee movie. The very reason I wanted to include this book in my list is because artists don't talk about DreamWorks enough. And don't get me wrong, Disney and Pixar are Disney and Pixar for a reason, and their concept art books are absolutely mind-blowing. Still, I wanted to put this in front of your attention because it's well worth it. And the third book I want to quickly show you is this one. The Harry Potter Creature Vault, written by Jody Rubenson. Now this is not your average concept art book, the ones that Disney and Pixar makes. The whole format is different and it's got much more to offer than just concept art. Here we have 3D models, photographs of the prosthetics and makeup team at work, maquettes and clay figurines, and the whole book has been written in a kind of encyclopedic manner, describing all the different beasts and creatures featured in the Harry Potter movies. Now I know that I keep mentioning Harry Potter in this channel quite a lot because let's face it, I'm a millennial and we're all just obsessed with that franchise. But you gotta admit, everything is very cleverly designed here. They took all the classic Western European folktale creatures like dragons, goblins and mermaids, and they really thought it through how they would actually look and interact with the real world that we live in. And by doing this they have shown us stuff that we have never seen before. It's a really practical approach, the way the movies portray centaurs for example. Their design is not just the classic ancient Greek style human top half and a horse bottom half kind of thing. They reverse engineered the centaur's whole evolution and thought about how an animalized, horse-like human would actually look like. I get really impressed by this kind of approach because it shows yet another level of critical thinking. It proves that if you go the extra mile, you can take something that is already well known by the audience and turn it into something that looks and feels brand new again. Now, if you can tell it already, I love movies. Gosh, I love movies. I love making them and I love watching them. And if you understood that reference, you owe me a like on this video. I think because movies are such complex creative works, they can be used as sources of inspiration whatever your creative discipline. Music, writing, lighting, set design, costumes, or even if you're anything like me focusing on logos and icons, we can all find something cool and inspiring looking through some of these books. Guys, while you are here, join our design tribe so you don't miss out on the upcoming content. We aim to give you 2 videos every week about art, design, illustration, interior design, architecture, all those cool things and everything that we can find in between them. Leave a like or a comment if you enjoyed this one and I'll hope to see you this time next week. Bye!